crafters, Raquel here with Paints and Glitter. Today I'm coming along to share with you what you can make with Tonic Craft Kit number 81 Tiny Twists box. As you can see, here's the sample, and this is a subscription box if you're not aware. And Tonic Studios does an unboxing video that you may have watched already, so I'm not going to get into all of the details of what is the name of everything. However, I'm going to show you what comes in this month's kit, and that's going to be a hard folder. This is every 3 months that you get one. You also always get a wallet with your exclusive dies and stamps. This is the little sticker that you can put on your little folder here. And then you always get a sample of Nuvo product. This time around, there's a glitter marker, a full bottle of Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, the best on the market. There's a crystal drop in the color Neptune Turquoise, absolutely gorgeous. And then there are pastel highlights. These are the regular colored pencils, so we'll be doing some coloring. And then as far as the papers are concerned, you do get Craft Perfect papers and specialty papers, if you see that. You're also going to get some 300 GSM card for the foundation of your box. There's some ivory card, pearlescent card, and look at how pretty these yellows. There's another pearlescent. So I will have the links for this kit in the description bar of this video. Get 2 of these. So the next thing that I'm going to do is cut out the pieces so that you get to see how this little adorable box comes together. By the way, you'll be receiving full instructions, so you won't be without that. And there are the little pretty stamps. You see that floral theme. And this is a round little box. Of course, you can use this for card making as well. So let's get started. To begin making this box, you're going to notice that you have some circle dies in your set. Go ahead and cut out 2 circles using the largest die in your set. What I've done is use the Ivory Classic card and the 300 GSM card. You're going to be cutting into this paper, into both of them. So I'm going to stack mine together, and I'm going to use this die that's included in the set along with some low-tack tape, and I'm going to be cutting this into both of these pieces of paper at a time. Okay, make sure you save the pieces that cut out from the center. Set these aside. You'll be using those later. And here are the results of that. It's like 2 little donuts. Using the dies included, you're also going to need to cut this piece here twice. And you can decorate it with this little hexagon and any one of these die cuts here, or dies. Or you can do what I've done. So here I've cut this out of 110-pound card, or 300 GSM. And then this little centerpiece here actually fell out of this portion, which you're going to need 1, and that's what this looks like. It's that gorgeous pearlescent green card that's in your kit. So I've cut it out of that, and the little center portion is what I applied there. So we'll be adhering those together using the panel here that cuts out 2 large pieces. You're going to cut out 2 pieces of card. I've used 110-pound or the 300 GSM card included to cut out 2 of the smaller ones. Once you have these outer and inner panels that you're going to use, you're going to take included, or 1.4, inch circle that you have included in your kit, and you're going to cut along the score line that is now impressed into that paper. This die here and this one, they're going to leave that impression on your paper, so go ahead and use that. Apply your low-tack tape, and then run this through your die cutting machine, and then do the same with one of these. For the outer panel, you can glue these together. There's going to be a score line here, and it's going to guide you. Don't fold this. It's just a guide onto your paper here to let you know where you're going to apply your second piece. To create a long strip. If you want to, go ahead and do the same with the second one. This is the smaller of the two. And of course, you can use whichever color you like. I just figured I would create this with the sturdy card for the base, or the inner portion. You now have a small strip, and then you have a larger one. It should look like this. Let's start with the inner portion. Before you start your assembly, be sure to burnish using your paper creaser to get this paper used to curling. So just be careful with that portion that has the aperture. Avoid that side there. And prepare your second strip the same way. Set aside the large one. Let's go back to the smaller one. We can now adhere this end to end. Make sure you use the guide of that score line that you have there. With your die set, you would have cut 4 pieces using this smaller circle included. Let's go ahead and take 2 of those now. You can use any color you like. I did use the 300 GSM. This is going to create the base of this inner portion. I'm going to take my little tabs and I'm going to adhere them onto this piece. I am going to add adhesive to all of these little tabs. Every single one of them, all the way around. I'm going to push that circle all the way in, making sure that those tabs are right above it. Okay. And now I'm going to flip this over onto my table and take advantage of that surface to push those tabs and adhere them onto that circle. Okay, now I've already applied adhesive, so I'm going to make sure that I press this paper toward the center as I'm applying pressure before that glue dries. And I just find this to be easy. Once you have those all applied, and you can see how quickly I was able to do that, you're going to go ahead and cover this now to get a nice clean finish on that side. Apply adhesive again on all of the tabs and in the center. And I'm going to apply my second circle here. And then press on that again, burnishing from the inside. Once this is nice and dry, you have 2 more small circles, again cut with the smallest circle in that die set. Take one and you can feed it right in here, just like so, and then let it drop to the top, what will be the top here. Okay, allow yourself the use of that aperture, of course. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to apply adhesive all the way around the perimeter of that circle. I don't need to be neat here because this is going to be covered by that second one. Just make sure you pull it all the way up and then use those tabs to adhere that top portion. So fold them over. And just be patient with this part here. If you'd like, if it's easier for you, you can always use double-sided adhesive and then just remove the backing of that and apply it that way. But if you want a really nice bond, then liquid adhesive is, you can use your paper creaser as a surface to hold your paper for you on the inside. Once you've adhered that portion, you're going to repeat the process of covering that up. You're now going to use your outer panel. This is the larger of the two. And you're going to take 2 large circles. I'm going to use this as the bottom, but I'm going to adhere this end to end just as I did before. Remember not to fold on that line. Feed your paper through as you had done so before. Make sure it reaches that top edge, which is essentially going to be the bottom. And I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm adding the adhesive on the actual circle, just on the perimeter there. It just makes it a little bit easier for me. But if you find it easier to add it to the tabs, then by all means, do it like that. You may want to start at the end where you have the aperture just to make sure that you're being really gentle with that paper. I'm going to adhere the entire perimeter of this, and then I'm going to cover it up with that pretty panel, which again is going to be the bottom of this box. Now that you have this outer portion assembled, you can go ahead and feed in the smaller one that you created. Should fit perfectly right inside. And the little circles here, the little openings, should match. You're now going to take one of the circles that you had cut out with the aperture in the center, and you're going to place it right on top. Place adhesive only on the perimeter or on the tabs. And then fold over all of those little tabs to adhere onto that circle. You can now take your outer circle and go ahead and adhere this right on top. Make sure you avoid that center portion. You now have your little handle portion here. You're going to want to adhere these facing the opposite way from each other. Let's go ahead and overlap them. You can follow the score lines as you can see. Should look like a little star. You're now going to fold every single side away from you. And I'm using this beautiful pearlescent card that was in the kit. And I'm being very gentle because it is pearlescent. The little side tabs are going to adhere to the adjacent panel. So I'm going to fold those away. I'm going to apply adhesive to them. And I'm going to adhere one side to the next. Just holding on to it like so. You have to find a comfortable way to hold the paper, of course. Take the next adjacent panel, apply pressure there, and you're going to repeat this all the way around. You should have something that looks like this now. That's going to be your little knob. Make sure you give it enough time to dry. You now have your decorative little top panel that should have all of the embossing on it. Then you have the 2 pieces of fallout from your aperture here, as well as the 2 pieces from your top aperture. Go ahead and layer those. You have the small ones. You have the larger ones. And what you're going to do here is that you're going to actually apply adhesive to this portion here, the center of your little box. On here, you're going to apply the 2 small circles. On top of that, you're going to center some adhesive and apply the 2 larger circles. Make sure it's nicely centered there. You're going to take your little knob and you're going to feed this through your decorative portion, just like so. Apply adhesive on all of the tabs. And then adhere them onto that decorative piece right on the bottom by folding these pieces out. Now apply adhesive onto this entire portion. And center that right on top of that circle that you had adhered. And it's up to you how you want this to face. While that's drying, included in your set were the pretty little stamps that you could use. What I've done is I've stamped them onto this layer piece. I cut them out, as well as these half circle ones. And then this piece here. I've also used the same pearlescent card and cut out this circle. And these are all decorative, so then now you can decorate it whichever way you like. I did use archival ink in Forget Me Not to stamp all of the images. Then I use the pastel highlights to color in all of those pretty little flowers and leaves. I did take, by the way, this turquoise color here, and this is called Lucille or Lucite. It's called Lucite Green, and I did color the edges of all of those little pieces. And then I also took the Lemon Drizzle marker and I colored the edges just very, very lightly, just to give it a little touch of glimmer there. I thought that would be really pretty. In fact, I think this is the one that I hadn't done yet. So this is all I did, just very gently, just a very delicate touch of glimmer. Of course, you could color the entire thing however you'd like. And this aperture here now can be decorated with this circle. Super pretty. So I'm going to apply that there. Just make sure you hold on to it while it's drying so that you don't accidentally get any adhesive on any other portion, only that outer piece of card. These will adhere right to this side here. Put one on one side and hold that down. When you're applying the little side panels, I wanted you to know that you should maybe shape them with your hands a little bit before you go ahead and adhere them. I'm going to color the edge of mine as I had done before. And I'm going to very highly suggest that you not turn that little knob until maybe 24 hours after you adhere it. At least give it a few hours to dry completely, depending on the humidity levels of where you live. But I've applied these panels here to the front and sides. I'm going to repeat this again. And because I shaped it a little bit with my hands first, it does help to adhere that a little bit better. Make sure you apply plenty of adhesive there. Now it's up to you. You can certainly cut another strip of card or more of these panels and adhere them on the other side, and then also use the circle dies included to decorate the rest of it. There are these little pieces as well. I'll be using mine. What I did is I try to use every single color just to make this bright and happy. And of course you're going to want to position this so that it's even. On both sides. And of course you can top it off with some of these darling Nuvo drops. The color is absolutely stunning, perfect for any leaves or even the centers of flowers if you like. No reason why you can't use them there. Here's the final result of the first little box here. And as you can see, what I've done is that I've decorated the sides, also the back here. And what I did is that I used the stamp set, and what I used was, among the decorative stamps, of course, that you can use for all of these little panels, I also use the little flower stamp right here. I colored that in using the pencils, and then I cut them out of the background just by using the 300 GSM card, and then used several different little Nuvo drops to decorate that. Also, I use the Crystal Drop in Morning Dew, which is just clear, for most of the little flowers, since I had already colored them using the pencils. So now I'm going to show you something a little bit different. What I'm going to do is that I've cut the same exact papers or shapes, I should say, in different colors. Here's the first. I'm going to zoom out. So here what I've done is I've cut the smaller section. As you can see, however, I've done it twice. I've also decorated the back portion, which would be the same as this, except for without that circle cut out. And I've placed that little arrow decorative portion there. And then this is the larger one. I've done the same thing where I've cut it out twice and adhered the pieces end to end. So I'm going to start here because of course I'm going to start with the smaller one. Another thing that I did was that I cut out 1/4 inch pieces of the same color paper. And now I'm going to simply flip these around like so. I'm going to actually cut away one of the portions of the little scallops here, because there we are. I've cut all of those away. I'm going to now adhere these to this portion. That's why I didn't need both. Make sure they line up perfectly. Here's where the little 1/4 inch piece can come into play if you want it to look nice and finished. So if you'd like to, you can adhere this now and just make sure you cut away what you don't need right along that seam. I'm just going to put adhesive right along that line. Repeat the same process on the other end. Once you've adhered top and bottom pieces and your little strip, go ahead and cut away any excess. Join it as you would have originally, end to end. Make sure you line it up nicely centered. Once this is fully dry, make sure you complete the same exact steps with the second one by adhering the top to the bottom once you have your long strips, and then adding that little thin 1/4 inch strip all the way down the middle, and finally adhering at the end. So we're going to be applying adhesive and then adhering all of these little scallops to this one end, and then we'll be repeating the same steps with the top. I wanted to point out that I am using 300 GSM card for this inner portion of this box just to keep it sturdy, but you can of course use the paper in your kit if you feel like that's comfortable for you. So as far as the assembly, it really won't change much. You can now apply adhesive all along the bottom and cover that up with your second piece of card. Then quickly turn it over and apply pressure again to make sure that it makes full contact. Okay, here I've placed the little lid on, and you may have noticed I went ahead and decorated these portions. So you can go ahead and do that either before or after you assemble it. I did find that this portion here was really easy to go ahead and adhere on as I was finishing this, but I did adhere these while my paper was still somewhat flat. I just started shaping it along with the paper so that I wouldn't get any buckling. So I think that's really important when you're adhering layers onto a 3D item. So I've gone ahead and placed the little base onto what's going to be the larger portion of this, and as you can tell, I also decorated the little aperture. You're going to definitely want to use that piece because it's going to make this little aperture a little bit more firm, and it's going to protect the integrity of that. So go ahead and place this inside now. You can see how easily it just slips right in. And of course, there's little scallops in there now. So you're going to want to make sure that it does reach all the way to the bottom. Okay, and that was easy enough. Okay, so you can see it matches up on both sides. And now I can go ahead and place that second one right on top. Place my adhesive. Now you may want to be a little more careful this time around because you want to make sure you don't get any adhesive whatsoever underneath this piece of paper. So be sure to bear that in mind. Now fold down your little tabs, but use your little aperture to push that paper all the way up and make sure that the tabs are not folding any farther than they need to. Otherwise, you're not going to have a straight edge here, and you want to make sure that that doesn't happen. So just be patient as you're applying pressure to your paper. Now it's up to you, but you could certainly repeat the design on both sides and have a little box that turns this way. I'm going to apply my second one right on top here while I'm doing it. I'm going to flip that over and use my bone folder to apply pressure. As I was constructing this, I was reminded that I did want to share with you the results of the Nuvo products in this set. The crystal drop, which is the Neptune turquoise, does look like this. And sadly, I accidentally placed something on top of the drop, so that's why it looks like that. Normally it'd just be nice and domed, but at least you get to see the effect of the color. Now down here is just a simple wash, very little amount applied to the paper. Here it's spread with a spatula, so you get to see the other effect you can have there. There's one drop. Here on the side you get to see the color of that drop. And then here finally is the actual lemon drizzle color and that little heart. So you get to see how you can definitely add some really pretty shine and different colors to your projects. But here we are. So far I've added these little medallions, and I wanted to point it out because The way that I got to shape this paper to adhere to this base is by, of course, using this little aperture as the entry point there for me to apply pressure to that paper. Okay, so make sure you take advantage of that as you're assembling this. It'll make it a whole lot easier. Now, of course, for the top, you're going to want to use the little discs that would have fallen out here. I am actually going to suggest that you use more than what the project calls for. It does say to use just the fallout. I think I used at least 3 more pieces of that size. I wanted to make sure that it has enough height. I'm going to apply only a little drop of adhesive there at the center. Now I'm going to push that in to make sure that it makes full contact there. But I also want to make sure that it doesn't get lost in there. I don't want to move that too much. I want to make sure that this looks good on both sides, and it does, because you have to remember that that's actually moving inside of there. Then go ahead and place your drop of adhesive on top of that. Just a drop. You don't need a whole lot more. Center this as best as you can. Now I am going to be decorating mine. These little panels are actually going to go on both sides. I use the paper included in the kit as well as the drops. Lastly, it's going to be the little knob at the top. I already shared with you how I created this one. So same assembly. The difference here is that I did decorate that top. You can see I put a nice big drop of Nuvo right there. So I'm first going to apply pressure to this one. Make sure that's nicely adhered. While that's drying, I'm going to take advantage and place my little decorative strips. You want to make sure you give yourself enough time for all of these items to dry. If you accidentally put pressure on a Nuvo drop, as I believe I've done here, don't worry about it too much. You can always remove it with your pokey tool, believe it or not, and place one right on top. Just do this and you can take off the drop. So don't worry if you ever make a mistake on a drop. Just make the second one the same size. And here I can be a little more generous with the adhesive. I'm now going to be able to decorate the sides. And what I've done is I've layered the papers, as you see here, with one of the decorative dies in the set. That to me is the most precious little detail of this entire die set. Is all of those inlay pieces that you can use. So be sure to take a peek at them, have some fun. These are going to layer all the way around. So there is that portion here. There are decorative dies for this. I just kept it simple with the solid, but it's going to cover the seams. So if you were worried about that, I can tell you that it's not even going to be noticeable thanks to this really beautiful paper when it's all said and done. So you can go ahead and apply your adhesive to all of these and adhere them all the way around. Cut as many as you like for your particular box. And then the placement is up to you really, but it depends on how much distance you want between the aperture and the little decorative portion. So I'm going to finish adhering all of these, and I'll check back with you once these are nice and dry. Okay, here are the results of how I've decorated the second box created with these dies. And as you can see here, you can see that opening, and then if I turn it this way, it's on the opposite side. So here on the top, here on the bottom, and then I did that inlay with the card available in the kit, as well as the Nuvo drops that you can use to decorate it. It's absolutely darling. You can see there in the center of the little flower. And then what I did here is that I had some navy blazer Craft Perfect ribbon, and this is in the smaller size, the 3mm wide, and I thought it was absolutely perfect to go ahead and pair up with that beautiful blue card. So here is the beautiful color. You can see it a little bit better there. And of course the ribbon matches perfectly because it's been designed to do so by Tonic Studios. So don't forget, you can always pick up little items like that. And all I did was apply just tiny little drops of hot glue all the way around so that the ribbon would not shift, but it was all held together already nicely with just the card that I used to put this together, or the paper as we say here in the US. I have one more item, and it was this little card that I created. I wanted to show the simplicity of using only one stamp, which was this one here from the kit, stamped repeatedly on a piece of paper. And this is the ivory card that was available in the kit. All I did was to cut one matting layer slightly smaller than the base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And because it has that beautiful linen weave, the one that I stamped on, I flipped over to the smooth side, stamped 6 times total using my platform. And I started at one corner, flipped the paper in the platform, used the opposite corner, and then changed my stamp to one corner, flipped the paper, stamped it on the opposite corner. Then I did the middle stamping, in case you want to know how to do that. Here is that beautiful pearlescent minty colored card there, the drops, and I did use that gorgeous lemon drizzle marker just on the edges, and to create that little frame there that you may see glistening on this card, all I did was to emboss it with a stylus right around the perimeter of the edge, and then use the marker just very lightly to color that, and it creates a really pretty frame. I did ink it on the edges just to bring in a little bit more of that blue, and then I colored all of the little flowers, as you can tell, with the pastel highlight pencils, and then lastly added some Nuvo drops. And I did use one of the little flower dies in the kit to also take advantage of some leftover papers and add those little flowers one by one to that background, because the die actually cuts into the background, so you do have to piece every little one, but that's okay. It was very easy to do with just a little drop of adhesive for each one. And then lastly, I also took some of that leftover card, and what I did is that I used my quilling tool to curl that paper. It was just a little strip of paper, and then I used it to decorate the front here, and added some little tissue paper inside, and that completed my project. So I do hope that you have enjoyed this video. Let me know your comments, what you think. I hope that you're able to take advantage of this, and don't forget that if you are a subscriber, you do get 10% off of absolutely anything in store at tonicstudios.com, whether it be UK or US. I invite you to subscribe. Most of my viewers are not subscribed to my channel, so please don't forget to click that button, and I hope to see you in my next video. Be inspired and be blessed.